Well, toodles, everybody. This is our last week, of course, week 8 or week 16, if you're counting the entire length of the semester. So this week, as you know, by the end, the ninth Sunday, your final essay on Dr. Faustus is due. Act 2, Scene 1, where you're answering, well, what should help you form your thesis is your answer to the question. Given what you know about Faustus and how Faustus, in a way, is kind of a stand-in for human beings in general, um, under what conditions would he be capable of salvation? And really, your thesis needs to be more than just, well, if he repents, okay? Well, that's obvious. We could take that for granted. But under what conditions would you imagine Faustus, the man, repenting? Keep in mind, this is someone who is selfish beyond comprehension, lustful for power, for prestige, run down the list. So is someone like that truly capable? I mean, he kind of says that he should have or would have, could have asked for repentance. But you guys need to kind of make an argument. You're kind of imagining Faustus, the character, kind of acting against his own nature. Can he do that? Because a huge theme in the play is the idea of salvation. So what does Marlowe seem to be saying through his character of Faustus about this idea of salvation? Is salvation attainable? Does Marlowe, the playwright, the poet, the contemporary of William Shakespeare, by the way, does he seem to be making some kind of a commentary about salvation in the Christian sense? Remember, Marlowe is kind of a brawler, an atheist during a time when you don't just go around saying you're an atheist. At least it was supposed he was an atheist if he wasn't out completely with that. Speaking of out, he was believed to be homosexual, again, 16th century, not looking too kindly on people being gay. So this is a really interesting, complicated character, this Christopher Marlowe. So what do you see him doing with this character, Dr. Faustus, in terms of the idea of salvation? Maybe you guys have your very own idea of salvation, of forgiveness, repentance. As a Catholic, I certainly do. It's something I think about. I wouldn't be. It would not be an overstatement for me to say that I think about that very often on a daily basis. Okay, so no doubt these ideas are probably going through your heads at some point. So I just kind of want to clarify your focus, because I've gotten just a couple of thesis checks, one of which was basically, well, if he repents, he's capable of salvation. Well, yes, that's true. We could take that for granted. Right. But you need to think a little more critically about the character and the theme of the play, a little more than just that kind of surface reading. Okay? So I wish you all well on your final stretch of days here working on that. It must be turned in Blackboard, no exceptions, by a minute before midnight on Sunday. And if you have any, you want me to check any thesis, run through a draft, guys, it's best to do so the first half of the week. I'm going to be very busy this week. I have to finish grading your homework assignment from week 5, which was the short story by Ursula K. Le Guin, Those Who Walk Away from Omelas. That, and you had that poetry unit we'd had. So there are about 10 questions in all. I think I've graded about half of them, so I still have the other half to do. So you'll be expecting those returned, and also returned to you by the end of this week is your Annabel Lee analyses as well. Not only that, but I also have the school at which I teach face-to-face here in St. Augustine, Florida. I have final grading for them, and we're doing exams. So it is going to be a grading bonanza for yours truly. So keep that in mind, folks. I'm going to try to be as expedient as I possibly can. Other assignments. Well, these aren't assignments, really. They're voluntary. You have a blog this week. That's always been voluntary. Okay, we have a final blog in which you could participate. The parameters are pretty wide open. Anything you want to sound off on with regard to readings, the final assignment, whatever. Here's your chance. And you'll earn up to 5 points on your final paper if you've been actively participating in each of the blog opportunities throughout this half of the semester. That, and there's also a voluntary, meaning optional, discussion forum. And the discussion forum is, the topic is research experiences. I think I closed with one of these last semester, or last quarter in 1101. I'm not sure if that was an optional one or not, but this one is. So if you want to participate, you could offer your own experiences, your struggles, your triumphs, with finding credible sources in the scholarly databases, synthesizing information, forming your thesis. Put that out there, and then your fellow students will advise, guide, and constructively critique, perhaps, your experience, what you've had to say as well. And if you guys collaborate, as has been the case all term, each of you will get 100%. And class and homework for this half of the semester is 35%. So I've upped it considerably, and that was on purpose, by the way, because you guys, on the whole, tend to do really, really well and provide really thoughtful, engaged responses with these questions at the end of the play. Well, I got to grade those too, by the way, those questions from Faustus. The play in that case, the poems that we had, our poetry block, and the short stories. So participating in this discussion forum, if you get 100, boom, that's gonna really help you. And by and large, you guys are doing, I would say on the whole, better in 1102 than 1101. There are more A's this quarter than last. What else? Speaking of poetry, this is just kind of a side note here. When I was grading the poetry questions, there's that one on the Shakespeare sonnet where you are comparing that famous sonnet compared to kind of a modern repackaging of it, if you will. And the modern day repackaging of it kind of strips away the language of Shakespeare's time, the vernacular of his period, using that kind of flavor of the English language, if you will. And a lot of you guys said, well, it's easier to understand the modern iteration of it because it's not in Shakespeare's Old English, okay? I just want to clear something up. Shakespeare was not writing in Old English. And I know what you mean. You mean to say that, well, it's older English, okay? This is a man who is writing 400 years ago, okay? So in that sense, it is Old English, but that is an actual term. That phrase Old English means something. That is, say, the writer of Beowulf. You guys might have read Beowulf or have some familiarity with it. The great Anglo-Saxon warrior. That is written in Old English. And Old English is a language that if you read it, you could not make heads or tails of it. Okay, it's that kind of Germanic language from before the Norman conquest. 1,000+ years ago, okay? So I just want to, it might sound kind of anal and busybody-like of me to bring that up, but I just want to let you know Shakespeare does not write in Old English, okay? Even Chaucer, who comes about 200-300 years before Shakespeare, he doesn't even write in Old English. He writes in Middle English, okay? So Shakespeare writing during the Renaissance era in England is just writing in the vernacular of his time. And of course, it's can be difficult to understand the syntax, the word choice, the kind of references and figures that he uses to our modern day eyes and ears might sound a little alien. So I take your point. I just wanted to clear up that little note. Anyway, that resolved. I think we know what is in our line of sight for this week, guys. Work hard. Give me that final paper by Sunday. Final grades, by the way, are due for the college by the 17th. I believe that is a Monday, if I'm not mistaken. So not... Yes, it's so not next Monday, but the next Monday, okay? Your final grades will be entered, okay? Next week, I think this is the last video, by the way. So next week, what I'll do, I think the Blackboard will still be open, probably. I just might go in there and check in and say hello or give a final word or something like that. But this is the last video, so this is me signing off. It's been a pleasure, guys. It's been a challenging, trying semester at times. I you know, feel like I've gotten to know you and to the ability that I can know you. This is really our only interaction, being an online class. This is kind of how it goes. But I've enjoyed working with you guys. I've enjoyed watching you improve. I hope you've gotten a lot out of the class. You know, this is why I do what I do, seeing students get interested in writing and in literature and improving their skills, becoming better speakers, better writers, thinking more clearly, being able to crystallize your thoughts. These are all hugely useful tools going through life. Of course, you probably know that already. So I just want to thank you guys for being, on the whole, really good students, good class. So I thank you for that. Why am I wearing a hat, by the way? My hair is a bit of a rat's nest on this Sunday morning. So just want to tell you there's a reason why I've got this hat on. In any case, cosmetics aside and parting words aside, have a great week, everybody. It's been a pleasure, and best of luck to you. If you ever need anything from me, please reach out. Any letters of recommendation or anything I could do for you, I'm happy to do that, okay? So see you guys later. Good luck, and we'll be in touch. All right. Bye-bye, everybody.